My name is Diana Inserra, and I was a resource room teacher for 27 years, first in Maryland and then in New York State. During those years, I had the pleasure of working with students of all ages from age 7 through 18. I've been retired for 5 years now, so I did not experience a face-to-face encounter with the Common Core. But in my 27 years, I did have a wealth of experience with something even more important, common sense. The Common Core The Common Core concept is in itself a good idea, whereas if you move from state to state and Social Studies 11 is, or American history is being taught in grade 11 in one state, it is in another. Because students often move from district to district or even state to state. However, the common sense part of it has become lost in the mistaken idea that all teachers and students are created equal and all learn in the same way and on the same time scale. My work with special education students taught me that each student was unique, and my method of working with them therefore needed to be creative and individualized. Asking teachers to teach all students in the same way with a script written by someone out there in the universe who has no concept of the uniqueness of those students and teachers is stifling. For every textbook out there, there is an accompanying teacher guide with suggested activities for each lesson. However, there's never enough time to use all suggested activities. So most teachers will pick out the activities most suited to the students that they have at the moment and that will fit in the time frame of the class. They may pick different activities next year, as students in that year may have other strengths and interests. One English teacher I worked with, just because as a resource teacher I often work with another teacher in their classroom, gave her students a choice of about 13 different activities for an end-of-year unit activity that they had to do. Some activities involved writing, some involved art, some involved construction, and others involved music. Students could be successful because they could choose a project that used their strengths, and everyone else in the class would benefit because they were being exposed to a wide range of ideas that might never have occurred to them if everyone had been given the same assignment. Prearranged scripts also don't always leave room for class discussion. Again, class discussions are where a variety of ideas can be expressed. As a student myself, it was always interesting for me to hear what someone else thought about a topic, and it always broadened my understanding of that topic. There is too much structure in the way the Common Core is being implemented. Please let teachers be creative in how they present ideas to each unique class. Also, please let K through third graders be children as well as students. Teach them the basics well, and I agree with Mr. Wood, especially literacy. Teach them to read well, without the threat of testing, so that they can feel successful and ready to take on the harder tasks of the following years. Let learning be fun for them so they will want to do more learning in the future. Also, I did my K through 12 education in Illinois, so I have a little different. You said, what's wrong with New York State? In Illinois, in elementary school, maybe they threw the Iowa test at us once a year. But they said, don't worry about it, just do your best, and there was never any stress associated with it. In high school, the only exam I ever had at the end of a school year was the exam written by the teacher who had taught me all year on the subject matter that he had taught us all year. So there was not stress there either. It wasn't some test out of the blue written by the state. It was what the teacher had taught me. And I went to an excellent high school in Illinois. My fellow students went on to Princeton, Yale, Cornell. They got a good education, but there was no stress involved with it. So I think that's part of something, when I moved to New York State, that I thought, why do they need these Regents exam? Why can't each teacher just test the students on what they've been taught?
I just ask you to elaborate on something you said. You talked about teachers being creative, and one of the things I think we've heard as we've gone around from a lot of teachers is they've used the word trust. The students need to trust the teacher in where they're going with a lesson or what have you, and that this is eroding that trust because the teacher is, if they're using one of these modules, that level of trust isn't there, and it kind of impacts both the teacher's willingness to take a risk to make sure, that the students are understanding something, but it also impacts on the student side because they're getting frustrated, and that's just going to breed more distrust of the teacher because they're seeing learning as just being something totally different than what they're used to in terms of liking their teacher, and when you have that bond between student and teacher, the student's obviously more apt to learn.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I think when you're trying to follow a script and you only have so much time, you don't even have the time to get to learn the students as well as you'd like to, because every student is different. If you have the time to get to know them and learn what motivates them, you're better able to create a lesson that will help them be successful. And if we can get children to be successful when they're young, K through 3, give them good reading skills, they probably will be successful farther on because they have the skills to be successful.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks.